Karli Van Cleve, 21 Investigates.
And I wanted to know more about what's next for the district's plan to address racism and more about their partnership the board decided with the group called Fair for All. Here's part of my conversation with Superintendent Park Ginder. Tell me about this group, Fair for All, and their mission. I was able to have a one-on-one conversation with him Wednesday.
But obviously the administration did not end well.
And this American flag, something left behind in the fire at Waldron's house. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Unfortunately, his dog did pass. The question on everyone's minds tonight, who killed Nancy Eagleson? Today, the family is taking their last chance for justice as they plan to exhume her remains. But first, I want to walk you through what happened on that day in 1960. Yeah, Brian, Krista, the crash report says Fort Wayne Police Sergeant Josh Hardup hit a man walking across the street. That man was identified as Henry Najeski, and he is in critical condition tonight. It happened right here behind me on the corner of Main and Calhoun Street downtown. I do have some additional details, and they're included here in my 21 Investigates report. This is the crash report. It says Fort Wayne Police Sergeant Josh Hardup hit a man while he crossed Main Street. That man is Henry Najeski, and he is in critical condition tonight. Here's more details in my 21 Investigates report. According to this crash report obtained by 21 Investigates, police say 42-year-old FWPD Sergeant Josh Hardup was driving an unmarked police vehicle when he hit 52-year-old Henry Najeski as he was walking across the street. The report says Hardup, quote, did not make a statement at this time to police. Sergeant Jeremy Webb told me over the phone the officer has rights and will give an official statement about the crash sometime today or tomorrow. Webb says Hardup was on duty during the crash but wasn't responding to a call. Webb says Hardup did stop and render aid to Najeski. A witness tells us when Najeski was hit, he buckled and flew to the ground and was unconscious and unable to talk. The report says he suffered an injury to his head. I asked Webb about this. He told me this wasn't a high-speed collision and how the man fell on the pavement caused the injury. Webb said, quote, you just can't control how people fall. He stressed it was very slow impact. In the crash report listed under factors for Hardup, it says failure to yield right-of-way. But the report goes on to say, quote, without a statement from driver one or the non-motorists, investigators are looking for video to determine where and when the pedestrian crossed. Webb says this was an unfortunate accident and the officer feels horrible. Webb says Hardup was back at work today, but the crash is being investigated by the Accident Review Board. You can find more details in this story on our website. For 21 Investigates, I'm Karli Van Cleve. That's right, Linda. I've been telling you about the paramedic shortage for months now. And getting into the passenger seat of a TRA ambulance was perhaps the best way to see firsthand the impact of the shortage. Paramedics say they're overworked and underpaid. They love their job, but they're not afraid to say they need more help now. When you call 911, Michael Manns is ready to respond.
Medic 102 on command.
Ready to be by your side.
We'll take good care of him, okay? All right.
Caring for you when you need it most.
We're not going to get assigned a call.
Okay. Manns has been working in emergency medical services for 27 years. So this is what you guys track your calls with, correct?
Yeah.
And I had him show me exactly what it's like on the streets.
Each of these is an ambulance.
For a first responder working at a time when only 22 paramedics are on the streets, there should be 38. They're short 16 paramedics per day.
I enjoy being a paramedic, and I like helping and working with people. There are times where it's very intense, and times where, things don't go well.
When TRA is too busy to respond immediately, dispatchers call for a TRA level 0.
County EMS, TRA level 0 on back pain.
That's when they rely on county agencies to step in and take the call. That's happened nearly 500 times in just the past 2 months. But Manns doesn't need to see the numbers. He already knows there's a problem.
It's very stressful. It's very stressful for the dispatchers. It's very stressful for the medic.
An ambulance is supposed to get to a scene within 8.5 minutes. But man says because of the shortage, it can take up to 20 minutes when calls are at a peak and staffing is low.
The response time of that length is a big deal here because that's not the expectation. That's not what should happen, and we want to fix that, and that's not okay.
For months, I've talked with key leaders about what it will take to solve this problem. New Executive Director Joel Benz.
My intent is to provide updates to the community.
Former union President Ian Case.
This needs to be an issue that's front and center.
City Councilman Russ Yale.
The job of TRA is to make sure that the public's protected.
And now the person whose job it is to keep response times down. Chief Operating Officer Mike Bureau.
I think they'd seen some paramedics leave prior to me getting here last September. I think that had continued to go on. I think some of that was just frustration with COVID.
The contractor hired Bureau as COO in September of 2020. Before that, he held the same position in South Dakota.
The public is counting on us. The employee group is counting on me to keep things moving in the right direction.
Bureau is responsible for making sure TRA stays at or under that 8.5-minute response time benchmark. And there's some work to do. In the past month, they've only hit that goal 70% of the time, leading to fines from the TRA board for non-compliance.
As a contractor, that's a two-edged sword, so to speak, right? Because on one aspect, I fully understand the reason is accountable, and I'm in no way disappointed in that, and we've been supportive of them holding us accountable to that contract and that contractual requirement.
This year alone, the contractor has faced more than $1 million in fines.
We do need to be held accountable in these contracts. It's just unprecedented time. When these contracts were written, we weren't looking at coming out of a global pandemic.
Bureau says paramedics and EMTs need hands-on training, and the pandemic forced that training to go virtual.
So when they weren't able to get on the ambulances and they weren't able to get into classrooms, we began to see that pipeline shorten up.
He says they started losing more paramedics than they were gaining.
It's difficult to lead during a time like this, right? We all just kind of have to rely on one another.
To help with that, they've initiated a new program called Earn to Learn, paying new hires to train as they work toward getting certified. On the streets, Mans is anxious to see those new recruits start.
The shortages are everywhere. I mean, it's a nationwide problem. We have our own issues here locally that are in addition to or also with that.
One that needs to be addressed and solved. And Mans is not ready to give up yet. He knows he's doing important work. He simply needs more help.
So I don't see myself as a hero. It's not for everybody, for sure, but it is a very rewarding career.
Well, TRA is still looking to hire paramedics, EMTs, or even people with no experience at all. You can apply for their new Earn to Learn program. It's a 10-week-long training program where you will get paid to learn and eventually become a certified EMT. I'll include a link to where you can apply in this story on FortWaynesNBC.com. It's floodwater like this that's leaving families like Kamala Haas and her daughter without a home right now. In fact, this water filled her neighborhood just last night. And now the two of them are in the hospital because her daughter has a disability, and that's the only place she can get care. It began as a usual night for Kamala Haas and her daughter.
I was doing laundry, watching TV. I had just put Lauren down for the night.
But that quickly changed after the storm. What happened?
Well, the rains yesterday, it kind of flooded this 4 houses out.
She says the rain just wouldn't stop.
Before I knew it, this was flooded.
And suddenly she heard a noise.
I thought it was the washing machine because I kept hearing the water, but no, it was the waterfall coming in my basement.
She looked in her basement and
it was all the way up to here and was still bubbling up.
How did you feel when you saw it all?
I won't lie, I just started crying and I didn't know what to do. I had hit panic mode.
She says she knew they had to leave because her 16-year-old daughter, Lauren, has a disability. She needs constant care.
She has a gene deletion, chromosome addition.
Haas grabbed as much of her medical supplies as she could, but when she walked outside... So was this all water?
This was all water up to here.
Oh my goodness. As far as she could see, water flooding her neighborhood. this all flooded too?
Yep, it was all the way back.
Haas says they called the police and the fire department helped them get out of their house safely. They stayed at the fire station until they were able to get dry clothes. What kind of care does your daughter need that you can't give her right now in this home?
Well, she has the special bed. She has to be up in bed. She has a trach, so she has to be on a vent.
They had nowhere to go. So her next problem, where will Lauren get the care she needs?
Going to a hotel room, it just wouldn't work because there's not enough outlets.
The hospital, and that's where they'll remain until her home inspection is complete. What is keeping you going?
Family and the community. What I thought that, I just live here and people think I'm the crazy lady that doesn't ever come out of the house. But it wasn't true. I mean, everybody was down here, people I didn't even know.
And Haas tells me they've been in contact with the Red Cross, just looking for somewhere to stay. But right now, she thinks the hospital is the best place because that's where her daughter can get the medical care she needs. For now, reporting, I'm Karli Van Cleve.